in front and bring your palms together and bring your forearms together. So you have that little scoop in your belly, sitting nice and tall, shoulders back and down. And then we have forearms and palms together. Then lift your elbows a little bit more away from your body as you lift your fingertips towards the ceiling and lower. And lift and lower. Just a small move here. Keep going, a couple more. And then pause with your arms at center with the elbows back down a little ways. Sitting tall, we're bringing arms out to the side. And pause here. So we have elbows bent. Shoulders are relaxed down. So check in if your shoulders have kind of hiked up a little bit and relax them down. Collarbones are wide and we're pulling our arms back using the strength between our shoulder blades and our upper back. So imagine you have a loonie between your shoulder blades and you're squeezing back there. And then bring your arms forward again, touching forearms and palms, and then open. And keep going like this, nice and slow. Big inhale as you open the arms, and exhale to come forward. Keeping that tall spine, core engaged. And every time you open your arms, just have a little pause to really notice the activation in our upper back. So it's not in our neck, not in our upper shoulder area, but we're really pulling back with those upper back muscles. Really important for keeping our posture upright. Let's just do a couple more here. Nice, and then let your hands come down. Extend your legs out in front of you and just give your legs a little shake out in front. We're going to come back to cross-legged and you're going to have your right leg in front. So cross your left leg and then have your right leg in front. Fingertips down in front of your shins. And then you could walk your fingertips forward, maybe just a little ways or a little bit farther. Check in with your body. And you can either keep your back neutral, or you can round your spine. So you could bring your chin to your chest and round your spine. And then just pause there, have a couple breaths, send your breath to your back. And then start to walk your fingertips back towards your body. Sit up nice and tall. Extend your legs in front of you, shake them out. Let's cross our legs the other way. So this time the right leg will come in first and then the left leg will be in front. Fingertips down, walk your fingertips forward. Again, you decide how far, you decide if you want to round your back, allowing your chin to fall to your chest. Big breaths. And then walk your fingertips back. And let's extend the legs one more time and just shake out those knees. If you're on a cushion, we'll move that off to the side and come to hands and knees. Okay, so we've got knees under hips, wrists under shoulders, belly engaged, and our heads in line with the rest of our spine. We're going to lower down onto our right forearm. So come down onto the right forearm and then down onto the left forearm. And then lift up onto the right hand and onto the left hand. And then we'll do that again, starting with left. So onto the left forearm and the right. And then we're going to lift up and lift up. We'll do that one more time each side. So right forearm, left forearm, and then lift and lift. And this time when we come down, we're going to stay down on our forearm. So left forearm down and right, and stay here resting on your forearms with your palms down. You could spread your fingers a little wide. And we're still keeping our back in neutral and our head in line with our spine. Keep your right knee bent and lift your right leg out behind you. So your foot is flexed, knee is bent, and imagine you have a yoga block or a cushion on that flexed foot and you're balancing it there. And then from here, we're gonna lift that flexed foot a little more towards the ceiling, and then we're gonna lower it maybe about halfway to the mat. So we're not lowering it all the way down, and then we're lifting and we're lowering. Going nice and slow with this lift and lower. Again, imagining you're balancing something light on your foot. And then notice the activation of the muscles in your glutes, around your hip, in the back of your leg. And next time we lift the leg, let's pause and do some little pulses here. So now it's just a little move and we're breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let that knee come down. We're gonna go to the other side in a moment, but if there's any moves you wanna do in between, go ahead. Belly engaged and knee stays bent as we lift the left leg up behind us. Foot is flexed, imaginary yoga block on your foot, and we're lifting that foot to the ceiling and then lowering down. The knee comes about halfway to the mat and lift. So nice and slow, and then really noticing which muscles you feel activated. Firing up the glutes and breathe. And next time we lift that foot towards the ceiling, pause here and pulse it. Make sure you're breathing. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let the knee come down. And let's lift back up to hands and knees. And then maybe just sway your hips side to side. Any other moves you might want to do here, rounding the spine. And then we'll all meet back in neutral. You're going to take your right hand and reach back across midline and just tap your opposite knee. So the right hand taps that left knee. And then bring that hand back down. And then left hand comes back and taps the right knee. And we'll do that one more each side. So reach back, tap your knee. Opposite hand to the knee, coming back to neutral. Now check in how your body's feeling this morning. If that feels like where you want to stay, you continue just reaching back, tapping your knee. And if you're feeling like you could take that up a notch, we're going to tuck our toes and we're going to hover our knees. So just with the core engaged, belly's engaged, we're hovering the knees an inch or two off, and then we're going to do that move again. We're going to reach across and tap the opposite knee. And you're going to breathe. So if you try this and think, no, I'm going to go back to knees down, go ahead and do that. If your knees are lifted, just see if you can keep your torso centered between your hands and as stable as possible. Always breathe. Let's do one more each side. Nice work, everyone. Knees down, untuck the toes. Let your hips fall back, and let's take a child's pose. Reach your arms forward or under your head. Let the head come down, big breaths. And then you can lift back up to hands and knees. We're going to alternate extending our legs out behind us. We'll still do it fairly slowly so that we're controlled, but maybe a little bit faster than we would normally extend our legs out behind us. So you can start with your right leg and just extend it out behind you. Toes are pointing down, and then bring that knee back down. And then left leg extends and down. And just keep going, alternating legs. So it's extend, lower, extend, lower. Again, the torso is centered between your hands and stable. And each time you extend your leg, flex the foot so toes point down and you're pushing your heel away. So you could think about there's a wall right behind you, and every time you extend your leg, you're touching that wall and you're giving it a little push. We'll do one more each side. And then again, check in with your body. That might feel like where you want to stay today. If you want to take that up a notch, you can again tuck our toes, and we'll do that knee hover again. So lifting the knees an inch or two off, and then we'll go back to those leg extensions, keeping the knees lifted. So extend, extend. And whether your knees are down or lifted, again, picture there's a wall or something right behind you that every time you extend, you're pushing your heel into it. So strong leg. Let's go. 4, 3, 2, 1, and if your knees are lifted, lower them down and go ahead and take child's pose. Your arms could reach forward, your arms could reach back. You could stack your hands and just have a few breaths. And then lift yourself back up out of child's pose. And we're going to come right up into kneeling. If you have your cushion handy and want that under your knees, you could go ahead. Hands on your hips. Lift those hips forward, open up, chest is lifted. We're going to do the arm moves that we started with, this time in kneeling. And so your toes can either be tucked or untucked, whatever feels comfortable for you. Bring the arms together in front, forearms and palms touching. Belly's engaged, and then we're going to lift those elbows a little higher, fingertips towards the ceiling, and then lower down. So I'll just turn sideways so you can see it from that view too. Keeping that scoop in the belly, tall spine. So we're trying again not to be rounding and extending our spine, but working on stability. And then come to the center or halfway between the lower and lift. Open the arms and center. And inhale to open. Exhale to bring the forearms together. Keep following your breath. Again, check in where your shoulders are at. Keep them down away from your ears. The strength comes from the middle of your upper back. We'll do 2 more. Nice work, and then you can let your arms come down, maybe roll the shoulders, shake out your arms. Come back to your mat with your feet forward in your boat. We'll have our knees bent. Start with your hands under your knees. Little scoop in the belly, lifting the chest. And just leaning back a little bit here. Have a couple breaths. We're going to reach our arms forward with palms facing down. And maybe lean back just another inch or so. Keeping everything as it is with the core engaged, lower your fingertips and tap them on the mat and then lift. A couple more just like that. Lower and lift. Next time you lift your hands, pause here. Keep your heels on the mat and lift your toes. Toes lifted, heels down. Now this is going to be an option, a little bit of balance here, or you can keep your heels down. Next time your fingertips come down to the mat, you could lift those heels off the mat. And then as you lift your arms, the heels come back down. So it's a little balance as well as core strength. To get the balance, you kind of need to lean back a little bit so that you're have that counterbalance going on. As always, just listen to your own body. Take breaks, modify whenever it works for you. Let's do a couple more. Nice, and then you can bring your toes down, lift yourself up, hands under your knees, have a breath. And then reaching the arms forward, this time our palms will face towards each other. We're gonna start with a half roll down, so pulling the belly in. We're letting our back round as we come partway down and then lifting ourselves up. We're gonna add on opening arms. So as you come partway down, open that right arm out to the side, follow with your eyes, and then center and lift. And over to the left side, left arm opens, center and lift. And just keep going side to side, nice and slow, controlled. Checking in with your legs. See if you can keep your legs parallel to each other and still. And as you open your arm, think about that nice widening across the shoulders. We're getting into the muscles, side of the waist, the obliques, using really all of the abdominals here. Inhale. Let's do one more each side. Coming back to center. And this time we're going to make our way down onto the mat. So if you want to come forward a little bit or get yourself adjusted and then roll yourself down onto the mat. Let's have our hands on our rib cage for a couple big breaths. Just know at any point you could just decide for yourself to have a little time out and focus on breath. And then arms at your side. We'll start with down here with our hundreds. So you know your foot position options. So you can just keep your feet down. You can have your feet lifted with knees bent, or you can extend your legs out in front of you. And of course, your head can always stay down, or you can curl up. So we're going to scoop the belly. We're going to, if you're choosing to lift your feet, go ahead and lift your feet. You're choosing to curl up, chin to the chest, eyes are down, arms lifted, palms down. You choose your leg position, start pumping your arms, nice strong arms. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. In and out. In and out. In and out. 2 more rounds. In and out. Last one. And out. Nice work. And pull those knees to your chest. Head comes down. Rock side to side if you'd like. A couple big breaths. Feet to the mat. We're going to bring our fingertips just behind our ears. So just lightly touching your head behind your ears. Inhale here. We're keeping feet down. Inhale, and as you exhale, upper body's going to curl up, chin tucks to the chest. We curl up and over, looking down at our thighs. Reach your fingertips, touch towards your knees or your thighs. Bring those fingertips back behind your ears and slowly lower down. Inhale, exhale to curl upper body up, looking down to the thighs. Reach the fingertips towards your legs. Fingertips back behind your ears and slowly lower. We'll just do that 2 more times. Start with your inhale. Use your exhale to curl up and over. Reach those fingertips. Slowly coming back and lowering. And last one. Curling up. Reach. Fingertips back and lower. Nice work. Arms down to your side. So we have our arms at our side with our palms down, anchoring, scooping your belly in and up. We're going to lift one foot and then lift the other foot. And let's have our toes pointed here. So checking in that you have your abdominals engaged. We're going to start keeping our knees bent. We're going to start lowering our toes towards the mat. Now go slowly and check in how you're feeling. If you come partway to the mat and you really feel this in your lower back, or you feel yourself really arching, just stop there. Just come a little ways. Or if everything feels good, you might tap your toes all the way down and then lift all the way up. And then keep going like this. We're just tapping toes down and lifting up. Just go as far as feels right for you. And if you want to add on, when you lift your knees up, you could do a little lift of the hips. So use those arms and hands, tap the toes down, lift up, and just lift those, give those hips a little lift. So we're tucking the tailbone to lift the hips. And we'll just do one more each way. Nice work, and then let your feet come down. Big breath. Scooping the belly, let's lift the feet back up again. Now this one you can do just keeping your head down, or you can curl up your body. And if you're bringing your head up, interlace your hands behind your head, so make a little hammock, and our head's just gonna rest here in our hands as we're still curled up and we're looking down. And then extend your legs a little more towards the ceiling. Now you might keep a nice generous bend in your knees, or you might extend your legs a little bit more. And keep your heels together, toes apart in Pilates feet. So if you're curled up, stay up here in this curl. And now we're just gonna tap our heels together. So little taps here. And you're breathing. So your legs can either be fully extended to the ceiling, or you can have more of a bend in your knees. Just tapping it out, holding up in your curl if you're lifted, and breathe. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, bend your knees, let your feet come down, let your head come down. Arms back to our sides. Couple big breaths. Scoop the belly, lift your feet. Let's have fingertips. Sorry, no, we're gonna keep our arms to our side. We're gonna do that upper body curl one more time, chin to the chest, curling up. And then we're gonna bring our hands and touch our hands to either side of our knees. Keeping all of that, let your right arm, extended arm, lift and come beside your head. And then we're going to switch our arms. So our right arm's going to now reach back towards your knee or your shin, and the left arm is going to come beside your ear, beside your head. And then we're going to switch our arms. So we're just switching our arms in the air, in space. And we're breathing. So our mobility is at our shoulders. Abdominal strength, keeping our legs and our upper body lifted as we breathe. Let's go 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let your head come down and maybe pull your knees to your chest. Rock side to side. And back to center, and let your feet come down. Extend your legs on the mat and arms overhead. Have a big full body stretch. So next we're going to do 3 full roll up, roll down. And if you want, you can just stay here doing your stretch. We're going to, after we do 3 full roll up, roll down, we're going to meet back down on the mat. So if you want to just stay here stretching, or any other stretch you want to do, this is a good time to do that. If you're coming with me on the roll-ups, let's do a big inhale, and as we exhale, we'll roll up over our legs, reach to our toes, and then roll all the way back down. And do that 2 more times. Full roll up, reach forward, roll yourself back down, arms overhead. Last one, all the way up and all the way down. Nice work, you guys. And then bring your arms back down to your side. Bend your knees. We're going to do 2 sets here of double leg stretch. First set, we'll all keep our head down. We'll do a little move in between, and then second set, you could come into a curl. So scooping the belly, lifting the feet, palms on either side of the knees. On your next inhale, let the arms come overhead, let the legs extend away from you. Exhale, swing your arms around, bring the knees in, touch your knees. Inhale, arms and legs extend. Exhale, circle the arms, knees come in, touch your knees. And keep going. Follow your breath. So inhale, everything extends. Exhale, circle your arms, knees come in, pull your knees. We'll do one more here. And then just keep pulling those knees in towards your chest. We'll keep our knees and feet lifted in this position. Bring your arms out to a T. So your arms are extended out to the sides, and maybe turn your palms down for a little more anchoring. So we're keeping our shoulders down on the mat, and we're going to let both knees come a little more over to one side, and then through center and over to the other side. So with the feet lifted, we're letting our knees sway side to side. And just check in. You want to keep your arms and shoulders rooting down into the mat and into the floor. And each time you're lifting your knees through center, think about firing up those oblique abdominals to lift and control and breathe. One more each side. And back to center. Let the feet come down. Arms back down to your side. We'll do that second set of double leg stretch, this time option for head curled up. So scooping the belly, lifting the feet, curling upper body, palms on either side of the knees. Inhale, extend the legs away from you, arms overhead. Exhale, curl the arms around, touch the knees as they come in. Inhale, everything extends. Exhale, knees in. Follow your breath. If your head is lifted, eyes are staying down towards your legs or towards your belly, curling up and over. Let's go 3 more. Nice work. And then you can keep pulling your knees in as your head comes down. And feet down to the mat. Have a couple breaths. Our next 2 exercises are going to be single leg stretch and then crisscross. And today we'll do them with our tempo of 2 slow, 3 fast. So we'll go slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. But just remember, even when we're going fast, we're still in control. So we're never just like trying to use momentum for the moves. We're in control. All right, so starting here with knees bent, feet down, core engaged, lifting feet, curling up, right knee in, inside hand at your knee, outside hand at your ankle, other leg extends, and we start with 2 slow. So we go slow, slow, and then fast, fast, fast. And again, slow, slow. You're breathing. Fast, fast, fast. Slow, slow. Pull that knee. Fast, fast, fast. Again. Slow, slow. Fast, fast, fast. We'll do one more set. Slow, slow, fast, 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 and then come on down, head down. Feet can come down to the mat. Walk your feet wider apart, Let's let our knees windshield wiper, both knees to one side, through center to the other side. Big breaths. And center, and walk your feet back to hip width apart. Preparing for crisscross, and again, we're going to do that same tempo. So belly scooped, lifting the feet, upper body curls up, hands behind your head. One knee comes in, the other leg extends, and we twist towards our knee. And we're going to do those two slow to start. So it's slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. Again, slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. Slow with a pause, slow with a pause. Fast, fast, fast. Again, slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. Let's do one more. Slow, slow, fast, 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 and center, and head down, and feet down. Let's go ahead and do a full body stretch. Legs stretch out, arms overhead. Couple big breaths, stretch out those abdominals. We'll make our way up to seated, so you can either do a full roll up or any other way. Inhale and come up to seated. We'll do spine stretch forward. So you're going to extend your legs out in front of you and bring them out to the about mat width apart. Toes pointing up, nice tall spine, fingertips reaching forward. Inhale in your tall spine position, and as you exhale, belly pulls in and we round the spine, we reach forward, thinking about the whole length of the spine. On your next inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, reach forward. Inhale to lift. Exhale, reach forward. On this last one, when we lift up, we're going to lift our arms all the way to the ceiling. Tall spine, arms lifted, and as you exhale, let your arms come down. Roll the shoulders. Bring your legs together, rolling back down to the mat. Start with a reach over your legs and allow yourself to roll back down on the mat. Arms can come overhead, have a full breath. Arms at your side, slide one foot in, slide the other foot in. So we're going to prepare for bridge. Maybe tuck your shoulder blades under a little more, feet are hip width apart. Arms at your side with palms down, pushing into feet. Lift your hips to the ceiling. Pause here, have a couple breaths. Opening the front of the body. When you're ready, you'll slowly, slowly lower down. Once your hips come back down to the mat, walk your feet to touch. So our feet are together and our legs are zipped together, thighs touching, knees touching. And then we're going to come back up into bridge with our legs together. Holding with your hips lifted, thighs touching and knees touching, just extend your right leg. So right foot comes off the mat, extend that leg, keeping the thighs activated together. And check if your hips are at the same height. So don't let that right hip dip down. Keep the hips lifted. We're holding here and breathing for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the right foot down. Let's let our hips come down in between sides. Have a big breath. We'll do the other side. So we still have our legs together. We're lifting up into bridge, keeping the knees touching. That left leg extends out away from us. Check in that your hips are at the same level and breathe. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Foot comes down. Lower your hips. Big breath. And then bring your feet back to just hip width apart, legs parallel. We'll do another bridge variation here. So you're going to start by coming up into your bridge. Lift those hips, lift the chest. Keeping lifted in your bridge, lift both arms to the ceiling and let your arms come overhead. And as your arms reach overhead, maybe they come down to the floor or maybe they come part way. But as your arms come overhead, lift your hips a little more, lift your chest a little more. Feel that nice expansion. And then slowly bringing your arms back to the ceiling. And as your arms come down, your hips come down. Let's do that one more time. Start by lifting the hips. Lift the arms. Arms start to come overhead. And then see if you have a little more room to lift your hips, lift your chest, big breath. And then arms come back down and hips come back down. Bring your arms out to a T. This time palms face the ceiling. And your choice, you can either have the soles of your feet touch and knees coming out to the side, or do the opposite with feet wide apart and knees coming together. So just decide what stretch you want to do here. We have our arms out to a T and we're just letting our arms be heavy. Feeling that expansion across the chest, choosing your lower body stretch. Couple big breaths here. And then starting to come back to center, back to neutral. Go ahead and roll onto one side. And we'll be on our forearm. So you're supported on your lower forearm. We're gonna have our knees, both knees bent today for our plank portion. And I don't want your knees too far forward. I want your knees slightly forward from your hips and then your feet slightly behind your hips. So that, you know, if you try once to lift your hips, you have a good anchor here with your bent legs. And then hand on your top hip and pushing it down into this forearm. We're just gonna lift and lower our hips a few times. So lifting those hips and lowering. And lift and lower, a couple more. And next time you lift your hips, let's keep them lifted. Lift that top bent leg so it's hovering in the air. And then from the hip, make little circles here in the air. So we're keeping the knee bent, just circling at the hip. Go the other direction and breathe. One more circle, lower the leg, lower the hips. And then you can support your head, come down onto your hand or your arm. Go ahead and extend both your legs. Have a breath. And then hover that top leg in the air, foot is flexed. We're gonna bring that top leg forward and we're gonna tap our heel down. And then we're gonna lift the leg and make a semicircle to bring it behind us as we point our toes, tap your toe behind. Lift, flex the foot, tap your heel. Lift, point your toes, tap your toe. And keep going like this. Heel forward, toe back with that semicircle lift in between. So check in what's going on at your ankle. Have that nice flexion forward and pointing going back. Check that you're still activating the core muscles to keep the upper body as stable as you can. Nice big movements in the hip. Couple more each way. Nice work. And then line the legs up. Let your top leg rest down. Have a big breath. Legs are together. We're gonna lift and lower both legs. So both legs lift off the mat, Both legs lower. And lift and lower. Lift and lower. Next time you lift both legs, keep them in the air. We've got feet flexed. You're going to bring your top leg forward as your bottom leg goes back. And then we're going to switch. So like we're doing big strides in the air. One leg comes forward as the other leg goes back. See how big you can make these moves. One more each way. Come back to center, lower your legs. Have a breath. Go ahead and prop yourself up again on your forearm. And we're going to bend our knees again. And this time you bring your knees a little more forward. Hover the top leg, bent leg, above your bottom leg and bring it behind you and lower it down. Feeling that opening through your hip. And then top arm, let's just start here by reaching to the wall behind you. So your arm is alongside your ear. Staying here for a couple breaths. Feeling this opening along the top hip, the side of the waist, the rib cage. Now you could choose to stay here, or we can make some big circles here with this arm, top arm, circling in the shoulder joint. Whenever you feel ready, you can just reverse direction of your circle. Expansive breath. One more circle. Nice. And then bring that back leg forward and onto your other side. Again, we'll start on our forearm. In that knees bent position. So we're starting with the lifted lower of our hips. So we want the knees slightly forward of our hips and the feet slightly behind, like a little anchor. Hand on your top hip. And then we'll go ahead and lift and lower those hips. Strengthening the side of the body. Next time you lift your hips, keep them lifted. Hover that top bent leg. Circle from your hip. Change direction. Check in with your breathing. Don't hold your breath. One more circle. Let that leg come down. Let your hips come down and support your head. Legs extended. Hover the top leg. Foot is flexed. Bring the leg forward. Tap your heel. Semicircle to tap your toe. Heel taps forward. Toe taps back. Flexing and pointing at your ankle. And how still can you keep your upper body? Isolating the movement in the hip. And we'll do a couple more each way. And then line the legs up and have a big breath. Both legs lift off the mat and both legs lower. And keep going, lifting and lowering both legs. Next time both legs lift, let's keep them lifted off the mat. Top leg comes forward as the bottom leg moves back, and then we switch. The big walks in the air. Breathing. A couple more. Nice work. Bring your legs to center, lower them down. Coming back up on your forearm. Bring your knees forward, bent knees forward, and hover that top leg and bring it behind you and lower it down. Top arm reaching overhead alongside your ear, like you're reaching for that wall behind you. Feel the rib cage opening. Again, you can stay here or you can make those circles with your arm in the air. And going the other way whenever you're ready. Let's do one more circle. Nice. All right, we're going to, let's come up onto hands and knees. And we'll do 3 modified push-ups on kneeling, and then we'll make our way down onto our belly. So starting on hands and knees position, we're going to step back into plank. So find your full plank, and then from here, lower your knees so that your hips are staying low. Keep your elbows close to your sides as you lower your chest, and then push back up. And just 2 more like that. Inhale to come down, exhale to push away. 1 more. Nice work. And then lower yourself right down onto your chest, onto your belly. And we're going to bring our arms right out to a T. So forehead on the mat, arms out to the sides with your palms down. Just let your forehead rest down on the mat. Keeping the head down, lift both arms. And then bend your elbows, bring your elbows back towards your body. And extend out to the side. And pull the elbows back. And extend. Do 1 more like that. Extend the arms out, let the arms come down. Now, we're going to do a couple more variations on that. If that was feeling like enough in your back, then you just keep going with that variation with the head down and legs down. So our next one, we still have our arms out to the side with palms down. Next option, we're going to lift our head slightly and lift our chest and lift our arms, keeping all of that lifted. Elbows pull back to the side of your body. And then extend out to the side. And keep going. Check in with your breathing. Make sure you are breathing. We'll do a couple more here. And next time you reach out to the side, let everything come down. Now let's just turn our head to one side. And you can either keep your arms out to the side, or if your arms want another position, go ahead and take a comfortable position with your head turned to one side. Take a few deep breaths. And then we'll be doing the last variation on that one. So when you're ready, forehead down, arms out to the side. This time we'll be lifting upper body and lower body and then doing those arm moves. So we're lifting head and chest and arms and legs, everything lifting, and then pull those elbows back to your body and extend out to the side and keep going. We'll go 3 more. Last one here. And then as you reach out to the side, lower everything down. Turn your head the other direction. Let your arms be comfortable. Send your breath to your back. Just let your shoulders relax. Let your shoulders just round forward. Let everything go. And then let's stack our hands and put our forehead on our hands. And bend your right knee, foot in the air. We're just going to do a stretch here for the front of our thigh, our quadriceps, front of our hip. So either just stay here with your foot in the air. If it's available, you could take your right hand and reach back for your foot or your ankle or your pant leg. Hold there. Big breaths. Gently release. Let your foot come down. Lift the left foot in the air. Again, you can either stay here or you could reach back You know, as you know, our two sides can be really different too. Big breaths. And one more breath. And then gently release. Placing hands under our shoulders. Push yourself up. Hands and knees. Let's let our big toes touch and maybe knees a little wider apart. Hips fall back. Let your belly fall between your thighs. And come on down to child's pose for a few big breaths. And lift yourself up and swing your legs forward. We're going to be rolling back down on our mat. So any way you want to get there, roll yourself down onto your mat. And let's all meet with our knees bent, feet on the mat, and then arms out to a T. This time, palms facing up to the ceiling. Walk your feet a little bit wider apart, maybe towards the edges of your mat. And then let both knees fall over to the right. Wide-legged spinal twist. You can stay right here. If you want, you can lift that right foot and put it on top of the left thigh. Just a little more traction. If it feels okay for your neck, you can turn your neck, your head, the opposite way of your knees. So your knees are going to the right and you're looking to the left. So find your comfortable twist. If there's another variation of a spinal twist you are feeling like doing today, go ahead. And then we'll just let ourselves relax here in this position, let go, and just focus on deep breaths. And then when you feel ready, you can start bringing your head to center. If your foot's lifted, bring it down, bring your knees to center. Have a full breath before you go to the other side, and then we'll let both knees go over to the left. That left foot can come onto the right thigh if you want. And then you could turn your head the opposite direction, looking over your right arm. And then bring all your attention to your breath. Nice full breaths. Have another big breath. Starting to bring head to center and your foot down and knees come up to center. Maybe just windshield wiper your knees a few times, letting them sway side to side. And when you're ready, you'll roll to one side to make our way to seated. You could find your cushion if you like. And starting in cross-legged position, take your right leg out to the side into your mermaid position. An option, either leg extended or bent out to the side. Fingertips down. We're going to lift that right arm up to the ceiling and side bend over. And pause here in your side bend. Start to slightly bring that lifted right arm forward as you look down towards your mat or the floor. You have a couple breaths there, feeling that nice opening, stretching through the back and the side. And then lifting back into your side bend. And coming through center, fingertips down, we'll go to the other side. Now the left arm is going to come up and we're going to side bend over. This might be a little smaller bend. Bringing that lifted arm slightly forward, looking down to the floor, the mat. Couple breaths. Lifting back into your side bend and then through center, bringing that hand down. We'll go to the other side. So bring your left leg out to the side into your mermaid on the other side. Left arm comes up, side bend over, pausing here to let that arm come slightly forward, looking down. Have a breath. Coming back to the side bend, lifting up, over to the other side, right arm comes up, side bend. Bringing that arm slightly forward. Back into your side bend and back through center. Arm comes down. And then coming to your cross-legged or any seated position. Let's just sit up nice and tall. Lift the chest, lift the crown of the head. Release the shoulders away from the ears. Close your eyes for a few moments. Just having a few deep breaths. And for a few rounds, we'll do a 4-count breath, or you can just keep having some deep breaths. On your next inhale, we're going to inhale 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4, and inhale 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4. And you can continue doing that in your own mind. And as you continue to either count or take some deep breaths, also notice the little pause between your inhales and your exhale. You can start to blink your eyes open and bring your fingertips down. Inhale, arms to the ceiling. Exhale, arms down. Again, big inhale. And exhale. And last one.